On August 21st, SMSD passed its budget for the coming year. And recently we spoke to Superintendent Robert Bostic about why this was a difficult year.
So this year we had some serious challenges with compiling the budget and getting things together because the state put in all kinds of roadblocks and obstacles that we have just not had before. We've had things like having to get a maximum compressed tax rate that we had to get before we can even come up with the tax rate or calculate the tax rate. But we also had to wait for things like the Texas legislature to come out of session after the second special session to decide that they wanted to do an additional $100,000 tax break for taxpayers, which I think is a great idea on first blush. But everything is always in the details, especially when it comes to things like public schools. One of the challenges that we ran into was, first of all, having to incorporate those tax breaks that were there from each of the different county appraisal districts. Because in Stafford, we have two county appraisal districts. We have the Fort Bend County Appraisal District, and we also have the Harris County Appraisal District. They give us the appraised tax value any of the houses, any of the buildings, any of the businesses in our taxable area. In the past, many years ago, we were able to basically ask taxpayers for about $1.04 per $100 of valuation. When the legislature started to compress the tax rate, it's gone down now to we can only tax 68 cents. For the taxpayer, that's great. But for the schools that operate off those taxes, that means that our revenue went down significantly. And then the other part for us was we couldn't get it in a timely manner. So we had to get it kind of at the last moment after they had gone through the second special session. And then besides giving the tax cuts, they didn't give any revenue increases to deal with things like inflation or in Stafford, things like recapture, where all of a sudden we needed to pay $2 million and cut a $2 million check, and that $2 million had to be cut immediately. In fact, by August 15th. So that was a serious impact to us. The way I like to look at it, if you're not used to dealing with this kind of work every day, is I like saying that it's being on a fixed income. You know, I've got a mom. My mom's over 80. She gets the same amount every month. No matter whether things cost more or cost less, she gets the same amount every month, every year, no changes. That's kind of what the state does for public schools. They put us on a fixed income, and that's kind of where we are. The problems that I think will continue to kind of dog public schools, no matter what has occurred, is if the legislature continues to fail to act to fund public schools, you're going to have, larger classrooms because we won't be able to afford that. You're going to have probably some decrease in some programming that we have around there. So some of the programs that are not included in what we call the basic programs that the state of Texas pays for in their formula, because in order to come up with that fixed income amount, they have designated basically how much they'll pay per student and what kind of programs are required by the state through the state's curriculum and those kind of things, which we follow. We're willing to follow those, and we're assessed on those. But the things that they don't assess and they don't pay for are some of those things that I call that are like value added. So the state doesn't pay for anything that we do with infant care in Stafford. We do that. We think that's the right thing to do, right? And so that's what we do. The state does not pay for, for pre-K instruction. They'll pay for part of it for pre-K instruction. But we think pre-K instruction is smart because that's what helps to raise our academics. It also helps to make sure the kids are on a good and level footing. So we've done what's there. But those are things that we have to look at and evaluate. Things like we've got a great early college program. Where, like right now, we have put out so many outstanding early college graduates, and we've done it with our tax dollars here. for years now. I think this is my 4th or 5th year getting this out. And we had 78. I mean, we're getting close to, we've got more than a third of the senior class with associate's degrees before they get high school. That's not fully covered. That's not covered by state money. So we always have to supplement that program with dollars that we would get through the state that we now no longer get. I've never had a kid who ever asked, or a parent who said, please give me the best 2nd or 3rd class education that you can give me. Never had a person give me that. No one. I've been in education for almost 40 years, and I can guarantee you I've never had anyone tell me that. I think that it would be wise for our elected officials to really ask those questions as they're going into not only the voting booth, but voting on the House floor or on the Senate floor, to ask the difficult questions, to see what's in there, because I really just hope and believe that their intent is not to hurt public schools, because in Texas, they're doing a pretty good job with public schools, and there are challenges, believe me, but local control, where school boards, like our school board and our city council, because we're the only municipal school district in the state of Texas, they weigh in very often with me and the administration on, every dollar that's spent, the programs that are being run, things that are happening. And those are the things that are affected. And it's painful and challenging when I can't give them an answer that I think would have some solid footing, that even deals with things that I would say with integrity and say, yeah, I think that's a good idea. So I don't really think this is a good idea. I don't think it's a good idea to hurt public schools, even if it's unintentional. And if it is unintentionally, to make some moves to change it, and to prioritize public schools that are in the Texas Constitution for things that we're doing, and they can check that, but to provide education for all kids. I'd like to do that.